This is the dawn of a new season. The tuning, turning, and timing for the great American race is about to begin. But before a wheel is turned and champion crowned, NASCAR's biggest stars have to do a little talking. This is Daytona Media Day, an annual rite of passage. It's a frenetic event full of cameras, countless microphones, and just maybe a little bull. Who's ready to rock? DirecTV Speed Weeks start right now on Speed.
In the world of NASCAR, each new season is a reset, a clean slate, and a fresh start. But before we turn a single lap on track, it's time to set the stage on Media Day 2009. Hello, everybody, and welcome to DirecTV Speed Weeks on Speed. I'm John Roberts alongside of Wendy Venturini. And Wendy, one of the best things about Media Day is the fact that we get to talk to all these drivers, but the fact that no one's mad at anybody yet.
I know, nobody's in a bad mood yet. This is great. I think Dale Jr. said it best in the offseason. When are we going to see some race cars on the track? Finally, we're getting closer to that hour. We're going to count you down here on Speed as soon as they get on the racetrack. But first, we have Media Day. That vibe I've been itching to feel all winter, Johnny. I finally got it when I walked into this tent. You could feel the vibe is finally here in Daytona.
Exactly, and the vibe that the fans like to feel is the sound of engines on the racetrack. It's music to the NASCAR fans' ears, and music to our ears is the sound of the voice of Rutledge Wood, who joins us from across the media tent. Rutledge?
Good morning, John. I am so excited to be back for Media Day. The drivers are ready. You know, we didn't have testing, so everybody's they're excited. They're ready to get on the track. I'm ready to have some fun with you guys. Now, one thing I want to point out is today is Reed Sorensen's birthday, and so we got him a cake. I found this cake here in the media tent. It said happy birthday, and it said D and a W. I don't know who that is, so I scratched that out and wrote Reed. So hopefully we'll get to see him, share a little birthday cake, and we'll get to talk to some fun guys today.
Rutledge, you're amazing. I didn't know you could decorate cakes as well as all your other many talents. But we'll be back to Rutledge Wood in just a moment. But right now, we're going to check in with a guy who tied a record last year with his third consecutive championship, and that is reigning champion Jimmie Johnson. And what a season it was. The numbers tell at least part of the story for Jimmie Johnson, a record-tying third consecutive championship. Look at the performance over the last 10 races of the season, an average finish of 5.7, and perhaps the biggest number on that screen, 1 DNF throughout the course of the championship 2008 season. Jimmie Johnson joins us now, and Jimmie, thanks for coming by. We appreciate it. We know if anybody wants to get back racing, it's probably you. But what do you do for an encore, man, after 3 consecutive championships?
That's a good question. You know, the great thing about this race team is that we just love being at the track and we love doing our jobs. And it's been a slow off season with no testing, so I think we're very excited to get back to the track, and I'm sure all the other teams are as well. So just looking forward to that first practice session and getting through the 500.
Now, Jimmie, I have to ask you, last year it was a golf cart, this year a knife. It sounds like something I would do in the kitchen when I attempt to cook.
Well, I was
How
in the
is
kitchen.
your finger?
It's well. I got the stitches out a couple days ago. It's still pretty swollen, but I'm doing well. There was a tendon that was damaged and all that, so I've got a little time before that fully heals. But all in all, I'm doing well and looking forward to being in the car. And luckily, I timed these things well. Like the wrist was in time to be back in shape for the car, and I've timed this one well too.
So that Rolex race looks like a lot of fun, and it's a chance also without testing, although it's very different. At least you're behind the wheel of a race car.
Yeah, I can tell you how cool it was to get out in that race and get those competitive juices flowing again. I truly enjoy running that event, and it's something I want to do each year, and I've been second twice. I want that watch that comes with victory.
Now, I have to ask you, I read an article where Chad Canal says, I'm giving the guys the winter off. We're not going to test. Now, a lot of other teams have been really creative on finding different tracks to test at. You guys really honestly haven't done any testing this winter?
No, we haven't. And truthfully, last year we went to just about every single one of those tracks these guys are now going to, and we found nothing. I mean, the tracks are so tough to learn from. We can go to a lot of short tracks and learn for the short track program, but we feel we're really good there. In my opinion, the high bank 1.5 mile, 2 mile tracks, we still need to be a little better to keep up with what the 99 did last year. But all in all, we've got a good strategy in place. And if Texas World Speedway was smoother and had some soft walls, I think we could probably go there and learn some stuff. But as rough as it is and as fast as it is, we don't see a track with those conditions, so why burn the guys down?
You know, it's always been the MO of your race team, Jimmie, that you guys are never satisfied. And from the outside looking in, it seems like you might be satisfied with 3 consecutive championships and that kind of performance. But knowing yourself, knowing Chad Knaus, knowing the rest of the team, I bet that makes you guys even hungrier.
It does. I mean, I think it more than anything, it shows us that, if we are working in the right way and if we are focused on the right things, we can win races and championships. And for myself, I'm not satisfied, but it's kind of validating what I do and how I go about it. And the same for the team. So, we're really hitting our stride, we feel, and really coming into our own as a race team and in our individual jobs.
So any major changes this year with your crew? I mean, this is the championship crew year after year. Besides Chad Knaus, I mean, has he made any crew changes? I know he likes to shake things up a little bit.
Yeah, there have been a few small changes to make the team a little stronger over the wall. So, this, without the testing, it's we're a little eager for the shootout and the 150s so that we can all be in that work environment together and kind of knock the rust off together.
Is there anything different about going about your year being a champion? I mean, do more people talk to you from the higher echelons of NASCAR? Is there anything different about the championship status once that green flag waves for the Daytona 500?
Yeah, it does change, and the offseason was pretty quiet. And now that we've gotten into to January and the Daytona 500 is here, the media requests and amazing opportunities in a variety of areas pop up, and it's hard to say no to those things, so I've been extremely busy through January. At the same time, I've always been one that when I speak to NASCAR, I want to make sure I'm coming with all my thoughts collected and really from an unbiased situation. And my relationship with Mike Helton, Brian France, Jim Hunter, all those guys have grown, and I feel like I can go to them now. And it's probably more, they've always been there. It's probably more on my side where I'm more comfortable to walk in there and say, hey guys, this is what I think and feel.
Jimmie, thank you so much for coming by. We appreciate it. Congratulations, and also good luck in the drive for 4.
You got it. Let's go racing.
Absolutely.
I can't wait.
In a word, Jimmie Johnson's career has been phenomenal. 255 starts, 40 wins, but 3 championships over that period of time. 101 top 5s. A phenomenal career so far for Jimmie Johnson, and he is just getting started. And we're just getting started here on Media Day 2009 from Daytona. Matt Kenseth made the chase last year, but it didn't go exactly the way he wanted to. When we come back to DirecTV Speed Weeks on Speed, we'll talk to Matt the Brat Kenseth from Wisconsin.
Speed's presentation of NASCAR Media Day is brought to you by Toyota. For the latest Toyota racing information, visit toyotaracing.com. Toyota, more. Verizon Wireless for people. Use 0 minutes. Only on America's largest mobile-to-mobile calling family. Verizon Wireless. And by Old Spice Swagger, the scent that makes a difference.
Welcome back, everybody, to DirecTV Speed Weeks 2009 Media Day here at the Daytona International Speedway. And we are graced by the presence of 2003 champion Matt Kenseth. And Matt, in talking to you in years past, I know that you're one guy who wants to get on the racetrack and start turning laps without testing. Did that make you go nuts, not being able to drive?
Well, we get a lot of practice down here, so it hasn't been too bad. But if we were going straight to California or something and had to go out and run a half hour and qualify or something, it might be different. But it'll be nice to get on the racetrack tomorrow and get some practice for sure.
All right, Matt, you have a crew chief change this season. I think what I'm most looking forward to is watching the other media members botch Drew Blickensderfer's name, because they throw an N in there and it sounds like Blinkensderfer, but it's not. Everybody needs to get it straight on your new
if that's our biggest problem, we're going to be doing really good. I hope that's our biggest obstacle.
Now I want to talk about Ford introduced this new FR9 engine for the season. Is it going to make a difference with you in the driver's seat? How are you going to feel any different with that engine?
Well, I don't know. I hope it's better. Yeah. We're not going to run it, I don't think, till at least mid-season. Yeah. So it's something we're not going to do right away. But anytime Doug Yates has his hands anywhere on the engines, they're gonna run good. So I'm looking forward to that.
All right, we talked to Jimmie Johnson. He said Chad Knaus, no testing with the 48 team this winter. A lot of teams got creative, going to Little Rock, rocking him. Were you one of those teams that took advantage of getting some creative juices flowing in the offseason to maybe learn a thing or two about brakes or whatever it may be?
Not really. I went, the R&D team was at that Little Rock one day, and I went down there and drove a little bit and saw what was going on. But other than that, the 17 didn't go anywhere. So we're just come down here and get ready to race.
You think this year is a lot different with this no testing policy? You were talking about how you were almost bored being at home all winter long. What are these drivers going through? What's the mentality of you guys now that you're getting back to the speedway here at Media Day and getting on the track really soon?
Yeah, I'm not going to complain about the time off because we'll get into that stretch where we race like 18 weeks in a row. You'll be ready for a week off for sure. But I don't think it's going to be a big deal. With this car, it's not like it was 2 years ago where you could put different bodies on the cars and move a bunch of stuff around and build different chassis. I mean, there's so many rules with this car, and we're so limited in what we can do. I don't really think it's going to be a big deal.
Matt, your team's been the picture of consistency over the past couple years, and also the Roush Fenway group as a whole, always just knocking right on that door. Is there something you guys try to put your finger on and say, we've got to do this differently this year to get over that threshold and get a championship for one of your teams?
Well, I think we just got to do everything right. We got to do everything perfect. I mean, as good as the 48, for example, is every year. I mean, you have to be next to perfect to beat them guys, especially when it comes down to the chase. So my main goal right now is to get back to victory lane. Honestly, last year's the first year we haven't won in 7 years or something like that. So it's important for us to try to get over that hump and win a race, and hopefully that'll turn into multiple races, and we can make the chase and be a serious contender for the championship.
Now, the first thing we're looking forward to, of course, is this Bud shootout. What do you learn from a driver's standpoint that maybe might give you a little bit of an extra edge of those guys that are being on the outside looking in that are not in the shootout? What can you guys really learn without this testing that we did not have?
Well, a couple things. I don't really know. You know, it used to have to win poles to be in the Bud shootout, so I wasn't in there very often. I was only in there once, I think, before this. So, and other thing is there's a whole bunch of cars in it this year. The field is huge. I think it's 28 cars maybe or something. So almost everybody's going to be in it, and pretty much every team's going to be affiliated with somebody in it. So for me, it'll be nice to get back in the track, get in race conditions, you know, get on and off pit road, do live pit stops, do all the stuff that you're used to doing during the season that we haven't done in 3 months, just to kind of get back in the swing of things. And, you know, I think you'll learn things about the car and how you want it to set it up and how it's going to handle, you know, for the Gatorade races on Thursday.
Well, Matt, thank you so much for coming by today. We appreciate the time, and good luck this season.
All right, thanks.
All right, that's Matt Kenseth, driver of the number 17, former champion. Now, one guy who wants to be called a championship someday is Joey Logano. He is not old enough to rent a car here in Daytona, but he sure has a good ride to drive around this racetrack. We'll talk to the man they call Slice Bread in a moment. For complete qualifying highlights from Daytona and NHRA news from Pomona, be sure to join Bob Barsha and Chris Devoda for the Speed Report Sunday at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. All of your racing news only on Speed. And the talk continues here in Media Day 2009 at DirecTV Speed Weeks here at the Daytona International Speedway. I'm John Roberts, Wendy Venturini back with you once again. And as everybody talks around here about not having testing, Wendy, it seemed like the news off the track in this offseason was point swapping. And we just learned last week that Roger Penske has made a move to guarantee Sam Hornish Jr. some time behind the wheel.
Yeah, a lot of the point swapping took place in this winter season. Now, the biggest, most recent one was Sam Hornish, Penske Racing. Now, here's the deal. You can't straight out buy points, but what Roger Penske has done has taken Bill Davis from Bill Davis Racing and acquired a minority ownership into the team. Number one, so they get the number 22 points now. Sam Hornish will be qualified for those first 5 races in the top 35 in points. And what it also means is that they've changed their name. It is now Penske Championship Racing. So let it roll off your tongue. That's the new name for Penske.
And Wendy, another thing you better roll off your tongue this season is change. Really, 2009 is a season of unprecedented change. Look at the list of familiar faces in new places. It's going to take a while to get used to Casey Mears behind the wheel of the 07 Mark Martin, Wendy, behind the wheel of the 5.
Now, that's what that media tour in January in Charlotte was. We got a good look at all these paint schemes. I can't wait to see him on the racetrack, though.
Also, Reed Sorensen gets behind the wheel of the very famous number 43 of Richard Petty Motorsports, and also A.J. Allmendinger in there for at least a part-time schedule.
Yeah, he was glad to get some races for the 2009 season, but of course trying to acquire a full-time sponsor to remain in the Cup Series all year.
And good news for Bobby Labonte fans. He is back behind the wheel of the number 96. As of a couple of months ago, Bobby Labonte did not have a ride. Now he is back full-time, and another fairly familiar face to everybody is young Joey Logano. He's in a very famous place behind the wheel of the number 20 Joe Gibbs Racing car. For more on that, let's go to Rutledge Wood.
Guys, I caught up with Joey Logano, and Joey, I've got to know the anticipation from an 18-year-old who's about to start his first year full-time Cup. What was off-season like for you?
It's been out of control. I've looked at my schedule and was like, wow, that's a lot of stuff going on. But I've had a blast over the offseason just getting ready for it. I went bobsledding. Had a ton of fun with that. So, just a bunch of different things.
Now, I didn't know this, how much you would have to be an actor. I know you've been working on a lot of the new Home Depot commercials. How was that for you?
Yeah, we just did the new Home Depot commercial. It'll be showing pretty soon, so I'm pretty excited about it. I had fun with it. I learned a lot. I'm not much of an actor, but I got better as I kept going. By the second day, I had it figured out, but it's so much fun. I didn't, from going not knowing what you're doing and then kind of getting a feel for it and realizing it takes 2 days to film a 30-second commercial. That takes a long time, but it was fun. I think it came out really good. I got to see it last night for the first time. It was pretty cool.
So now we also heard that GameStop is coming back for your Nationwide car, and obviously being a video game guy, I'm super pumped about it. Is there a more fun sponsor for you out there? I don't think so.
I don't think so. It's a pretty fun sponsor for me. I get a bunch of games. I get to play. My motorhome's packed with a bunch of stuff. So, yeah, it's cool. With any rain day or whatever, come on over. I got games.
Really? Now, is there one in particular you're better at? Like, what can I challenge you at?
I play the NHL hockey games a lot. I'm a big fan of that. But I just got the new NASCAR Wii game for it, so that's pretty fun. It's not out yet, but I just got it.
How did you get? Cool. It's not. How do you?
I'm in with the cool people, all right?
He's in. He's in with the cool people, so he gets a new Wii game. Now, those have NASCAR characters in them, right?
Yeah, actually, you can unlock me once you're in there and everything. It's pretty cool. Everything's like a little cartoon. It's like it's kind of like Mario Kart. You get the steering wheel and everything.
I just hope we get to go to your high school reunion when people are like, yeah, I'm in finance. I'm in video games and I race in NASCAR.
Yeah, well, it'd be pretty fun. We'll see.
So also the other thing I got to ask you about, it's your first time in the Bud Shootout. Now your teammate Denny Hamlin, first time he was in, he won. Can we expect to see that same thing? Is there any pressure there?
I sure hope so. I don't know. I'm gonna try it, but it's gonna be a big learning curve for me. I'm gonna have to learn a lot, gain respect from the veterans when I'm there. It's kind of the main goal. Get ready for the 500. I think I'm going to learn a ton. I don't have much drafting experience at all, especially at Daytona. So I think that's going to be a big deal. Kind of get a feel for it, gain the respect from it, so to get some partners for the 500.
And you've been lucky enough to have been graced with one of the best crew chiefs in the garage, someone that so many people think so highly of. How's it been working with Zippy so far for you?
Oh, it's awesome. I think it's a great asset for me to have Zippy and the whole team there, the Home Depot still being there, having everything still there except the driver, and I'm going to be the new one. So I think all that's a big deal to me. It helps my learning curve. I think it speeds it up a lot. So, we'll just have to see how it goes, but I think having Zippy there is going to be a big deal for me, and we'll just have to keep working on it as we keep going.
Well, Joey, I know it's going to be a great year. Thanks for stopping by with us. Right. Back to you guys at the desk. I'm going to keep working on them, get that commercial stuff. We'll be good.
Hey, Rutledge, he said he was in with the cool people. What's he doing hanging out with you?
I think someone told him to come over here. He heard there were cool people over here, and then we had a camera. He had to stay.
Nah, he found the right guy for sure, Rutledge. And Joey Logano, a candidate for Rookie of the Year this year. And Wendy, let's face it, with Scott Speed, Joey Logano, in this day and age, in NASCAR's top series, rookies win. Real good rookies win. Jimmie Johnson, Tony Stewart, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, you can't count these guys out. I was laughing because Rutledge mentioned the high school reunion for Joey Logano. Just a few months ago, he was at his high school prom.
He was in high school.
He's 18 years old, so Joey definitely has a lot of pressure on him, but he handles it very well. In all the off-season interviews I've done with Joey Logano, you can see he has that confidence, but he's not quite sure what's going to happen once he hits the racetrack here in Daytona.
And once he hits the racetrack here in Daytona without testing, that ARCA race now becomes somewhat of an audition for Joey Logano.
Yeah, definitely for Joey Logano. He's going to get some track time with the ARCA series, and that is what he's looking forward to getting onto that racetrack and maybe learning a few things. But again, it's not a cup car, but it is very different. Now, Saturday, the ARCA REMAX Series season starts off with a bang in Daytona. Be there as veteran drivers and NASCAR's future stars like Joey Logano trade paint and push the limits in pursuit of a win at one of the world's most storied tracks. You don't want to miss this race. Coverage begins Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, only on Speed.
And that always kicks off a great couple weeks of racing here at Daytona. It's been an up and down ride for Ryan Newman. Once he ended up on his hood, and then he ended up in victory lane at the Daytona 500. We'll talk to the Rocket Man as he gets ready to settle into his new ride here at Daytona. Well, Ryan Newman has the honor of coming back to this year's edition of Speed Week as the defending Daytona 500 champion. If you look at the Daytona 500 stats over the years, he's got 7 starts, 1 win, 2 top 5s, and has led 33 laps on this big track by the beach. Kind of surprising that the Rocket Man, Mr. Friday, has 43 career poles, but none at Daytona. But that could all change this year as Ryan comes back. And Ryan, what a difference a year makes. You come down here last year, give Roger Penske his first restrictor plate track win. Now you're here in a different suit, different team. How different is the outlook? None at all.
No, I really feel that as a team and as an organization, we can come out of the box strong. I look forward to having Tony Gibson as my crew chief, U.S. Army on the car, driving for the million, basically what I call heroes out there that are fighting for our freedom, and having Tony Stewart as a teammate. If we can redo that little clip there and just realign the drafting in the last lap, we'll have a good finish.
You can Photoshop it, right?
Yeah. I can't believe it's almost been a year, full circle. It feels like just the other day you and I were sitting down in the Daytona 500 USA talking about your win. What in the last year has been the biggest surprise coming out now that you're the Daytona 500 winner that you've experienced in this last year that's been the coolest part?
Oh, that's tough to say.
I'm sure it's all the
really
media interviews,
well,
right?
The media stuff was really overwhelming. I didn't expect all the things after Daytona to happen the way that it did. To take basically a week long of media, and then obviously it's probably been a half a week long of media going back to Daytona for this February. So that was a lot of effort that went into it that I didn't expect. You just don't know. I mean, I've never done it before. I didn't know what to expect. And doing some of the cool things with the Army has been a lot of fun in the off season. Doing their vertical wind tunnel and shooting some of the cool guns. Getting to meet Larry the Cable Guy backstage at Regis and Kelly was probably the coolest thing of all the media that happened after Daytona.
It says a lot about your personality, by the way.
Thank you.
Exactly. Now, Ryan, what has your role been with the team? I mean, we talked to Tony a lot about his, front office stuff that he has to do. As a driver with a new team and a new group, what is your main role during the offseason when you can't test?
Just get to know the guys, make sure I'm comfortable in the race cars. We've done two little tests. I call them little tests because they're, you go to Rockingham or New Smyrna, and it's not like going to Vegas or Atlanta. But in general, just getting to know people, starting, and I say this, it's kind of my theory. You can't create chemistry, so you just have to be around it and let it happen. And if I'm not around the shop, it's hard to have that, hard to have that reaction, I guess you could say. And just, getting to know the people and really getting to know the names. That's the biggest thing is you don't forget where you came from. You don't forget the people that you've experienced those great things with when I was with Penske. But you have to remember more names when you come to a new organization. And that's been one of the harder parts, really.
Hey, Ryan, we want to show you some pictures here really quick if you can look in your monitor. Tell me what's going on with this here. It looks like, it's part of the deal of being with the U.S. Army.
Yeah, you can tell that was indoors. That was the little, and that was indoors.
Now that's
too.
scary.
Yeah, that was in their gun room. Those are all electronic guns, basically. They shoot at targets in a computerized room, and that.
Got to meet some cool
wait
people.
For it to zoom out. Yeah, we got to meet a lot of cool people. The coolest thing was, I don't know if they got a picture of it, was the vertical wind tunnel where I'm actually floating in the air. And you can move your body parts around. It's kind of like learning to walk all over again because you have to connect your hand and your legs and your head movements and stuff to turn yourself while you're floating in air. And it's just, who does that? When you walk, you just realize to put one foot in front of the other. But when you're flying, you have to connect all these things together. And it was really neat to do that.
Now, I'm curious to know the difference from Penske Racing now with Stewart Haas. Your personality, you have a dry sense of humor, which I find very entertaining. Tony Stewart can be a little amusing on TV as well. I think this is a great relationship. I'm looking forward to what's going to come out of it. But the biggest difference from Penske to Stewart Haas, would you say it's a little bit more laid back kind of atmosphere?
I'd say it's laid back a little bit more, yeah, but I mean, we're still up on the chip trying to achieve the same thing. So from a racer standpoint, we're still trying to get race cars ready, and nothing against Penske or anything. I really look forward to my relationship with Tony Stewart, the people at Stewart Haas, Tony Gibson, Darian Grubb, Bobby Hutchins. I think have done a great job preparing great race cars and try to represent the U.S. Army and Haas Automation throughout the year.
Well, Ryan, thank you so much for coming by. Congratulations once again on the Daytona 500 win last year and coming here as champion. Hope you can repeat it.
This may be my favorite part of the whole deal now.
What, Media Day?
No, this.
Or hanging out with us.
Oh, we were smiling the whole time.
Good. Yeah, exactly. Like we said earlier, no one's mad at anybody else yet.
Not
Not
yet.
yet. Give us time, though. We're going to get on the track very soon. Thanks once again to Ryan Newman and Stuart Haas Racing for coming by and spending a little time with us. The questions continue here at NASCAR Media Day at Daytona. We got a lot more of the stars of NASCAR coming by to talk with us in just a moment. Stick around, everybody. It's always one of the best shows during Speed Weeks. The Camping World Truck Series race at Daytona kicks off the season in a big way. Todd Bodine took the checkered flag in another dramatic finish last season, and this year we're hoping for the exact same action on the racetrack from the Camping World Truck Series. And once again, you can see it live on Speed February 13th. The sparks will fly as the Camping World Truck Series returns to Speed. It's the perfect storm of danger, competition, and speed. Don't miss the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series live from Daytona February 13th at 7:30 Eastern, only on Speed, racing the way it ought to be. And one guy who knows what it's like to go to victory lane in a race truck is Scott Speed. Scott, welcome. Good to see you.
How's it going?
Good. What do you think about this media day so far?
It's crazy. I think Ashley can see how confused I am. I mean, she's pulling me around, go over here, go over here. It's crazy. It's like being in a race car.
And no one's asked you yet what kind of tree or animal you'd like to be or anything?
No, honestly, I haven't been too crazy questions.
There has been some crazy questions today. Talk about your move over to stock cars, the Truck Series, the ARCA Series. What's been the coolest thing for you moving over to stock cars?
The coolest thing, I mean, honestly, probably the first race. I mean, just because there's so much I had to learn. It was like you actually fill up the tank like that. I mean, there's so many really simple things that I've known now, but didn't know then. That's like, wow, all right. But the first time was the coolest. I mean, there's so many different things that I had experienced.
Now, once it gets right down to getting behind the wheel and grabbing it and racing, is that all the same, or does that even the racing part of it take on a whole different?
Honestly, the racing part is probably the most different, just because you're really close with guys. You're going up high, you're going low, and you're three wide. I mean, how the whole race flows, during the race is completely different. So honestly, that's probably one of the most difficult, or let's say the most different.
Now, in looking at how the shootout is going to be lined up, you are in for the Bud shootout, so that definitely gives you a little bit extra edge to get some more track time here at Daytona this week.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's asking about testing. I mean, man, this is the perfect test plan before the first race. I mean, we get a race on the track literally, 3 times or at least 2 times before the actual big race. So the testing before the 500 is going to be, really beneficial for me for sure.
Hey, Scott, when you read your biography, it seems you had a tremendous amount of success from a very young age in the open wheel cars as you advanced up. What brought you to stock cars? What was that process like? How come you're here?
How come I'm here? Well, after Formula One, I mean, what are you going to do in open wheel racing? It's like, all right, I kind of been to the top, and I could probably stay here as a test driver and maybe try to keep working for a race seat, or I can do something else. And honestly, I've had such a great relationship with Red Bull where they really gave me the option to do pretty much what I wanted. Didi asked me, Scott, what do you want to do? And I said, well, if I had a choice, I'd try NASCAR just because I've never done it. It'd be a huge learning curve. I'd like to experience new things in racing. I've done this open wheel thing. Let's try something new.
Scott, we've heard a lot of teams took advantage of some creative ideas to get some testing under their belt at other non-NASCAR sanctioned tracks. I know Greg Biffle went to Texas. You ended up at Atlanta, though, for a tire test. So what were you able to learn about your race car in the very few testing sessions that did take place?
I'd say the test in Atlanta was very valuable because, our let's say, mile-and-a-half track stuff was, we hit it right in Miami, but it was very, bad in the rest of the areas or the rest of the tracks we raced last year. And we definitely made huge improvements with the car, and we learned a lot on it, And Jimmie and I are starting to get back in the groove of working with each other, so that's going to, pay off for sure by the time we get here this weekend.
All right, so Jimmie Elliott is a guy who's has a lot of experience. How has that relationship gone with you guys?
The relationship with the whole team has been great, especially now that we're in the off season. We don't have testing, but then again, I have time to spend at the track, at the shop. Spend the time with Jimmie and the engineers, actually going through the car and really learning the things that I didn't have the time to last year because we're doing so much racing. So the off season's been really great for us, and I think honestly we're going in here with a lot of momentum.
Well, Scott, thanks a lot for coming by, man. We appreciate it. Looking forward to this year. I know you got a lot to learn, but it looks like you're grasping it quickly.
We're working on it.
Yeah, all right. That is Scott Speed, now a new member of this Red Bull team, and a lot of excitement out of that camp right now because of the way they came on last year. Now, we got a lot more to come on this edition of 2009 Media Day from the Daytona International Speedway. Just a few of the guys coming up. Mark the Kid Martin, Tony Stewart, and 4-time champion Jeff Gordon. Welcome back, everyone, to Daytona International Speedway and NASCAR Media Day 2009. It's all part of DirecTV Speed Weeks on Speed. And there's a very young and dapper Rick Crawford, once again back in the Camping World Truck Series. And we have drivers from all of NASCAR's 3 top series. And while we're saying young and dapper, let's bring in a very excited Mark Martin. New uniform, new outlook this year, Mark. And you told us just a moment ago that driving for Hendrick Motorsports, as long as you've been around the sport, you're still learning so much more about this organization and how broad it is and how great it is.
The depth there is incredible. And, you know, as I said before, Rick Hendrick is such an incredible person and inspires people and motivates them. And the thing, and I feel this, and everyone that I've dealt with has felt this, they want to succeed for him even more than they do for themselves. And it's really a cool feeling to be a part of it, and I'm blown away. I can't wait any longer. They're gonna, if Speed Weeks didn't start right now, I was just gonna have to go start, because I can't wait any longer. I am so excited. The more I learn about it, the more I want to be a part of it.
We agree with you, Mark. In watching all your interviews this off season, you really seem, not to be cliche, but pumped up about this season more so than others. Is it true you really had to be convinced? You were a little bit hesitant to get back in it full time?
Yeah, I'm an idiot. I mean, I really, really am. I told Rick no twice before I finally warmed up and agreed to it, and that was the dumbest thing I ever did. You know, this is the best time of my life, the most excitement I've ever felt, and you know, no matter what happens in the racetrack, just being a part of Hendrick Motorsports is an incredible honor, and there's nothing else. There's no place else in the world I'd rather be than behind the wheel of that number 5 car. So, you know, to have a chance to work with Alan and the 5 team and Kellogg's and CarQuest is huge. I mean, it is just, I just can't wait. I can't wait to get started and be a part of Jimmie Johnson and Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt Jr. and be around Rick more and try to learn from him and be a part of this thing. And you know, I really, really want to go out and get on the racetrack and get the results that Alan and this team are capable of getting.
Now, Mark, we can back you up with some statistics on that why you might have been a little bit hesitant to get back into full time. Look at these numbers over the career of Mark Martin: 722 starts, 35 wins, and the laps led 11,560. It's safe to say you've been around this thing for a while, Mark. But you look fresh and excited and happy about being here.
Well, now I had to have those 2 years off. I would not have taken this deal at the end of my tenure there with the 6 car. Absolutely, no question. Those 2 years were so important to me. I had to go do the things that I felt like racing was standing in the way of, and that was mostly just sitting and with my arms around my family and spending time with my family and those kind of things. I am recharged. I didn't even run Homestead, so I had an extra week from everybody else. Plus, I had a partial schedule the last 2 years. I'm rested. I'm focused. Mentally, I'm better prepared than I've ever been in my career. Physically, I probably am too. I may not be as strong as I was, 15 years ago, but I'm definitely physically more fit than ever. I've learned a lot about my program, my nutrition program and my physical fitness program. And I have done nothing but focus on that because I've been so psyched up about the season coming and the fact that we weren't doing testing. We did all our promotional stuff back in October. So Hendrick Motorsports is ahead of their game. They're always organized. So all my stuff was done in December and in January. All I could do is just get ready, just more and more training. And I am ready. I'm more ready than the guys I'm going to be racing against because a lot of them are burned out or are still kind of tired from doing it year in and year out, and I've had a break.
Well, Mark, we know there's a lot of fans out there that are very excited to see you in this uniform with that team, and they're looking forward to a great year. Congratulations on the deal, and we're looking forward to see you on the racetrack.
I can't wait to get there. Thank you.
All right. That is Mark Martin, and he said he is ready to go. Another guy who is ready to go as owner now of Stewart-Haas Racing is Tony Stewart. The Smoke will join us in just a moment. Welcome back to 2009 Media Day. Looking back at October 5th, 2008, Tony Stewart won at Talladega and therefore got that very important final win during the chase for Joe Gibbs Racing as he got set for another chapter in his life. He walked away with a win on one of the big tracks on the circuit. Now here we are at another big track with now owner Tony Stewart. And I know Tony.
No. I'm in a unit driver.
Okay, driver.
The other hat.
I'm still a driver today.
Okay, good
Yeah.
deal. But as an owner and a driver, people have always said that there's a certain amount of pride in owning something because it's yours. Now, we know you took a tremendous amount of pride in that 20 in the Home Depot car, but now that you're having your own deal, how much pride do you have in that? How proud are you to own this organization?
And it's not so much just owning the organization, but it's just being a part of something that you feel like has so much potential and has so much room to grow and has done that already. I mean, people haven't even seen how much since Homestead, how much it's changed. But it's been an exciting off-season for us, and it's been fun to watch a new group of guys come together. I mean, normally when we get done at Homestead, we go all off on vacation and go do our own things. But this year I've been at the shop a lot more and seeing new groups of guys come in from different organizations that have come to Stewart-Haas Racing, and to see them gel into one group and go forward. That's been something that's been a lot of fun to watch that process.
Now, we just heard that A.J. Foyt has taken you up on your invitation that he's going to be
He took us up on that months ago.
Really?
What do
Why'd
you
they
mean
just tell us now?
Heard?
What did we just heard now?
Well, it's because you guys are worried about makeup and hair all the time. You don't pay enough attention to what's going on.
You can obviously see that that's not right. But anyway.
Well, you're just saying it didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Yeah,
it
worked
still
on one end
about it.
for sure.
Yeah, Wendy for
Not
sure.
that she needs the makeup by any means.
But how cool is that going to be to have A.J. Foyt here supporting
man.
you guys?
It's awesome. I mean, A.J. and I are great friends anyway, and obviously when we went through the process as a new owner, of finding what numbers were available, it was like, 14. Yeah, that's us right there. And it was an easy decision of why. So, when we decided that and made the announcement, and I talked to him on the phone, he called to say, hey, congratulations. I said, well, the invitation's open if you won't have anything going on in February, which I know he doesn't have anything going on in February other than dumping a dozer over in his creek or something. So, it was a great opportunity to invite him, and, he didn't even think twice about it. He said, I'll be there.
Tony, I'm not really convinced you're in your driver hat right now because you're here doing media before 11 a.m. I think that really have been approached differently as an owner. You are there at the shop on early mornings now.
No, not at all. Are you
they
kidding?
lie
Who
to
told
me.
you that?
They lie to me.
Yeah, I like how they lie about that. But no, I don't make it there till afternoon. I don't think I've made it to the shop before noon yet on purpose. Unless somebody's told me I had to be there for something. But no, I'm still a late sleeper and go in the afternoon. I may not leave till 7 or 8, but that's when the guys have been leaving too. So, I may get in at 2 or 3 in the afternoon and leave at 7.
Now your shop is super cool. The logo, really sweet, I think. You guys put a lot of effort into that 50s retro style, old school garage look in the shop. How did you guys come up with that and trying to get into that shop and making it yours? You definitely put your stamp on it, it looks like.
I did a little bit, but I have to give the credit to Kirby Boone and Brett Fruit. When we talked about doing the new team logo, it was like, I want every bit of my personality involved in this. And something that when people see that, they're like, yeah, that's Tony. So, the new look with the 57 bumper on it and everything and the emblem, that was really what kind of put the old school into me. And hey, Rutledge.
They don't have very good security here at these media sessions.
My good buddy.
Can you sign that for me?
Yeah, of course I can sign that for you, buddy.
And I do.
Like
Evidently, you're running a little low on funds and your eBay account's getting low. So.
Yes.
Someone call security, please.
Yeah, I know.
Call security.
And I do have to say, when we went into his shop for the media tour, they had Frank Sinatra's My Way playing, piped through. It was
and that was
cool.
Mike Arning. I got to give him credit.
It was fun. I'm like, we're definitely
the one thing
Tony
about
Stewart's
this whole
place.
new deal is that I can't take much of the credit for it because I've done exactly what I said I was going to do, and I've done what I've seen from Joe Gibbs, and I've hired really good people. We brought some people with us, like the Mike Arnings that do our PR, Brett Fruit, Eddie Jarvis, but hiring Bobby Hutchins and Darian Grubb and Tony Gibson to come on. And there's been people in the upper office and people downstairs that don't get enough credit that they deserve. But we've got a really good group of people, like Kirby doing the design for the new team logo. I mean, that's something that I didn't have enough time to do, but it was like, he was the one that really put the thought and said, hey, I found it. I got this idea. He goes, I'm sending you something, you may not like it, but this is something I did versus having a design guy do it. And I thought, man, this is perfect. You hit a home run with it.
Well, Tony, thanks a lot, man. We hope you hit a home run with your new race team. Best of luck and everything. And hope you feel better. Tony's fighting a cold here, so he's a fighter.
Don't I sound great? You sound like I'm talking through a snorkel or something.
Let's take a look at Tony's numbers from the Daytona 500. Let's not forget, this time last year, well, a week from now last year, Tony Stewart was just about to win this thing, and he's come close
Thanks for
many
reminding
times
me.
before. Well, close. It's better than being far away, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. It's better than being on the trailer already and driving home already.
Exactly. 10 starts in the Daytona 500, 4 top fives, average start 7.9, average finish 19.1. And what a way it would be to kick off a new era as an owner driver than with a 500 win. Hey, it can happen. Stick around, everybody. We still have much more coming your way on this edition of Media Day 2009. And one big part of Speed Weeks, of course, is the ARCA REMAX Series. The season starts off with a bang in Daytona. There's veteran drivers and NASCAR's future stars. They trade paint and push the limits in pursuit of a win at one of the world's most storied tracks. Don't miss the Lucas Oil Slick Miss 200, and it's coming your way Saturday 4 Eastern, only on Speed. A magic moment from the Daytona 500 when Darrell Waltrip pulled into victory lane. That was 20 years ago, and when he got out of the car, he asked a gentleman by the name of Mike Joy, did I just really win this race? And Mike had the answer for him, and now here we are. 20 years later, Mike Joy, the voice of NASCAR on Fox. And Mike, so many years for that race for you. 33, I believe, was what we just figured out. But so many magic moments along the way. How did that one with Darrell Waltrip stack up?
I think that's probably the fourth most replayed clip of the Daytona 500. 76, the Petty Pearson crash. 79, the fight. Earnhardt's win in 98, and Darrell's victory celebration. He climbed out of that car with a gleam in his eye. And I started to ask him a question, but I just knew that, you know, he didn't have both legs out of the car, and he already had control of the interview and was hamming it up. And ended up doing the icky shuffle and slamming his helmet. And yeah, what's changed? Right.
Mike, we've really had some magic moments in the Daytona 500 history. When you look to 2009, what do you think can happen this year? What do you think is going to be the biggest story? I always like to ask someone of your caliber that kind of question.
I think the biggest question right now is, will we have the kind of side-by-side racing that produces those fantastic finishes? Look back to 76. If David Pearson had not been passed by Richard Petty in turn 3, he would not have had the chance to dive in turn 4 and vice versa. In 79, if Cale could not have gotten alongside Donnie in the back straightaway, nothing would have happened and nobody would remember. If, you know, Dale Earnhardt doesn't cut a tire and Derek Cope in 1990, I mean, there are all these ifs and buts. But the real big if is, will we have sustained side-by-side racing such as we need to produce great finishes? Can these cars pull out and pass? And I think if they can, we certainly have the opportunity to have as great a finish in the 500 as we've ever had. And as the 500 goes, so goes the season. If you have a great 500, you're going to have a good season.
Now, the way the season gets kicked off here is with the Bud Shootout. It's going to have a different look this year. But again, we must be hoping again for the side-by-side racing that makes that sprint race so great.
Sure. What we have to remember about the Bud Shootout is it's an entirely new race with an entirely new set of parameters. It just happens to have the same name and the same distance as it did last year. But really, it's become a manufacturer's showdown. And it'll be a great way for folks to see who's liable to be competitive come next Sunday in the 500.
You know, year after year, you've come back. You said 33 years covering the Daytona 500. When Mark Martin just joined us a little while ago, it was the most excited I had seen Mark in a long time. How do you get revved up for a new season? Because oftentimes it's, you know, there's this lull in the off season and then you just go right at it with the Daytona 500, but you have this energy about you that you always have year after year.
Well, I just talked to Mark as he walked away, and he says, I am so bored. He says, he talked to Steve Wade, one of the riders. He said, read your column today. He says, I've read everything. I've had nothing else to do. You know, and all you folks sitting at home, I know you've had nothing else to do. You're ready to get this party started, and so are we. You know, it's ever since Bill France Sr. created the Daytona 500 in 1959, the season has started with its biggest signature event. No other professional sport does that. So the anticipation leading up to the Daytona 500 is every bit as big as the anticipation leading up to last week's Super Bowl. The difference is instead of 2 weeks to focus on it and who the teams would be, we've known for months who the teams would be. We've had months to sit on the couch and read the newspapers and read the internet and watch Speed and wait. And it's finally here. Sure, it's easy to get stoked for something like this because it is such a big deal, and there are so many questions and so many unknowns, and we all just, you know, Larry Mack over there at the other studio, he's bouncing up and down on his chair. We just can't wait to get this party started.
I tell you, there's a vibe in here today that we haven't had in months.
Yeah, and Mike, we can't wait to hear your call on Fox. Thank you very much for coming by. We certainly appreciate your time, and again, we're all revved up.
Well, so are we. Thank you, folks. They've been here since 7 a.m. Gosh.
Yeah, but it seems like only a few moments ago. The 2008 chase for the Sprint Cup certainly had its ups and downs, but it ended in a phenomenal season finish for Jimmie Johnson. And you know, it seems like whether Jeff Gordon wins the championship as a driver or an owner, you got us covered both ways. Jimmie celebrated last year as the driver, and although you couldn't win the championship as a driver last year, you still had a big part in that.
Well, you know, I'm very proud of being a part of Hendrick Motorsports and the whole 24-48 group, and it you know, to see what those guys have done over the last 3 years has been really extraordinary. Really from day one, from what Chad and the whole team and Jimmie as a driver has done is it's been pretty awesome to see and be a part of, and I think it makes all of us better at Hendrick Motorsports. Even though we haven't won a championship since he came on board, we're still fired up to get that done as well for the 24 DuPont Chevrolet.
Now, something that's extraordinary also, Jeff, is your numbers here at Daytona for the 500. Your statistics really speak for themselves. Excellent numbers, 3 wins here at this racetrack in 16 starts. I bet this
they're like championships.
Yeah, they are.
Win here at Daytona.
I bet, you know, looking at the success you've had, that this race really gets you fired up to start the season.
I'm extremely fired up for many reasons. One, what an awesome offseason we've had. The most time I've ever been able to actually relax. The team, I think, has been able to really do some incredible engineering and thought process going into the engines, the bodies, the mechanics of it, and the engineering side of it. So we're really geared up and ready and anxious to get to a racetrack. I haven't been on track, and it's Daytona. I mean, you know, this is just a place where you bring everything you've got. It's like I said, it's like a championship. So you put so much focus and energy into it. My car is smoking hot. Love this new paint scheme that we've got on the DuPont Chevrolet. And we were so awesome here in July, so I feel really good about it.
And new look to the uniform as well.
Well, you got to have the uniform go along with the car, I guess. Yeah, you know, it's a different look for us, but it's one I'm really excited about. When I was a kid, growing up quarter midget racing, I had a car that was black with orange or yellow and orange flames, similar to what we have now. And of course, Sam Bass and the folks at DuPont have taken it to a whole nother level. Being a paint company, they like to focus on a car that looks sharp. But that thing, it is awesome. I can't wait to get out there and race it.
Now, Jeff, you mentioned you want to get out on the racetrack. If you're a race fan at home and you have a keen ear, you can hear there's drafting practice actually going on in the ARCA REMAX series. When you finally get on that racetrack, how pumped up are you guys? Because there's been a lot of talking this offseason, not a whole lot of on-track action.
That's true, and even the on-track action, you know, you've heard some guys talk about tire testing and maybe going to some short tracks or something like that. But none of it's been drafting here at Daytona. We used to have some drafting practice during our test session here in Daytona, and it was really valuable because it just got you warmed up. And you got you used to looking in your mirror and seeing how fast and the draft moves, or you know, the cars can make moves and things like that. We don't have any of that. So practice for the Bud Shootout is going to be pretty interesting, because for the 500 we're all in qualifying mode, won't be doing any drafting, but for the shootout it could get exciting. Actually, Jimmy and I got in a crash last year. Something happened up ahead of us, and we got into it. So we're hoping to stay away from that this year.
And Jimmie Johnson mentioned earlier today that they made some crew changes on the 48, and the Bud Shootout's going to be a good practice session for them to get everyone in check. Did you guys make any changes on the DuPont team for this season to maybe change things up a little bit?
Not from a pit crew standpoint. I mean, other than just really trying to focus our energy on just being in sync, being fit. Just we had an awesome pit crew last year, and I love those guys. So the pit crew wasn't our issues. We've got a few mechanics that, or a couple of mechanics that are new, that are on the road, and then most of it's just been Steve Letarte in our engineering group of how we're doing our engineering, how we're studying it and utilizing it at the racetrack and back at the shop as well. So. I think they're all really great improvements that we've made, but small ones, nothing major.
Well, Jeff, thanks a lot for coming by. We certainly
pleasure.
appreciate the time. Best of luck this year. And again, the uniform looks great.
Yeah, it looks
I
smoking
think
hot.
Wendy's opinion is probably more.
If the car goes half as fast as it looks, then we're going to be in good shape this year.
Right. Well, folks, stay around with us. We still have a lot more to come from the 2009 Media Day here as part of DirecTV Speed Weeks on Speed. Welcome back, everybody, to our Media Day coverage on Speed. Normally a Goodyear tire test in the offseason wouldn't be that big of a deal, but Juan Montoya and several other competitors got a chance to actually get a real Goodyear tire out on a real NASCAR racetrack and get some testing. And Juan, how big was it to be a part of that Atlanta tire test?
It was really nice. It was actually nice to be back in the car. Something that I was really happy with. Last year, it was at the end of my first year of NASCAR. When I got back in the car, it felt really weird again. Yes, I drove for a year, but it's like you get back and it's like, ooh, I forgot this was this hard. But this year I went in and I was actually pretty comfortable in the car, and I was very happy about that. Feels to me that I think we made a lot of progress in the car over, I think back in the shop and getting together, with Earnhardt and how, getting all the teams together. It's been really exciting. I think there's a lot of progress being made, and I think you're gonna see it this week.
Now, I got to ask you about the Rolex 24. Not the only on-track action in Atlanta. You were here in Daytona. Man, 12 pounds light for that. I mean, it was so close. What do you think about how it all worked out?
To be honest with you, in a way, it sucked that we finished second.
Yeah.
But in the other way, in practice, being realistic, they had so much more pace because they had so much more power than us. That is like, we would be lucky if we finished in the lead lap. And actually to be able at the end of the race to keep up with them, I think, as always, I think the Ganassi organization came out and show what they're made of.
Hey, now, Juan, last year you had a lot of situations where you were in the position to get a great finish or even perhaps a win. But, it's always the ifs, ands, that when something bad happens, that great run turns into a bad finish.
Yeah, it's actually pretty annoying because you look at, I think from Talladega onwards, the end of the season, we always run in the top 10, top 5. And we had cars, as you said, that they were capable of winning races. And always something happened. And it really is hard, but it's what it is. And the encouraging part is we are more competitive. The car is definitely better. I think this year with Chevy is going to be pretty interesting for us. We're, very excited about that, with the Childress engines and everything. So, we'll see what happens.
I got to say, there was a lot of pressure on you guys in this offseason and a lot of changes taking place. Chip Ganassi, though, he's a racer. When it comes right down to it, he's as serious as you guys can get. This merger with Earnhardt, Ganassi, all the talk with you guys, how are you feeling and how are you dealing with it to come out, now being a Chevy here in Daytona for the rest of the season? There's a lot of change, but you got to roll with it, don't you?
I think you got to roll with it. You got to make the most out of it. I'm in the Target car this year, and that's very exciting for me. I had great memories from them. I won a lot of races with them before. So it's encouraging. I really want to come out this year strong and be strong all year long, to be honest. I think we're in a position where I think we're capable of making the chase. And, if we play it right, if we play our cards right, we should be there.
Juan, thank you so much. We appreciate the time. Best of luck with everything. And by the way, that Target suit looks really good on you.
I know.
Yeah.
He's saying that to everybody that stops by.
Well, I like the new driver suits. I mean, they all look great in the new place. But thanks to Juan Pablo Montoya, and he'll be one of those guys to keep an eye on when it comes time for the Gatorade Duel at Daytona. Get fired up because speed is dueling. February 12th, the most exciting qualifying event in NASCAR is only on speed. Don't miss the Gatorade Duel at Daytona live February 12th at 2 Eastern. Welcome back to Media Day 2009. If there's one team and driver that heated up in the spring of 2008, it's Kasey Kahne and the number 9 Gillette Evernham team as well, I guess we got to change that name too. We'll get back to that in just a moment. But after a clean sweep at Lowe's Motor Speedway, Kasey Kahne won the All-Star event and the Coke 600, 180 career starts, 9 wins, and 63 top 10s. Kasey Kahne joins us now here on Media Day. And Kasey, it's good to see you, but as long as you've been in the Cup Series, it seems like there's been a lot of change going on around you. The team's name has changed several times, other drivers on your teams, but it seems like you've always kind of stayed the same in somewhat of a leadership role on that team.
Yeah, it's changed a lot. This year was one of the biggest throughout the Sadler, Allmendinger deal, the Richard Petty Motorsports, what's going to happen with my team, everybody else's. So it was kind of a long off season with that side of things, and it's just the way it goes, I guess. Our team stuck together. We have a great team, our Budweiser Dodge team, and I think we have a great shot at running well again this year. I mean, it's the same guys, same group, and looking forward to it.
Now, falling under the Richard Petty Motorsports banner, it's a little bit different, but is there really a lot that's going to be changed within your team specifically, the way things are run?
Yeah, I mean, I think the competition side is really the same. I mean, we got Robbie Loomis now from Petty's, which was, that's a benefit. That'll help us, and just another guy to work with for the crew chiefs and the engineers and things. So I think that's great. Other than that, I think everything's the same, as far as I see. We're going to see Richard Petty walking around looking at our cars and being part of it, talking to Richard, which we haven't done before. So that'll be a difference too. But I think the 9 team's going to be really pretty similar.
Yeah, the presence of a king always helps. Now, Kasey, you've been in this championship hunt before, and once you get in the championship chase, once you become a championship caliber driver, that's the only place you want to be, all right? I mean, you don't want to be out of that again.
No, you definitely don't. And, we missed it last year. We were in the top 10, I think, throughout most of the season until the chase came, and we were 13th. So we didn't make the chase, but it's the way it goes. We had a great season at times. Other times we had some races that we need to work on and make sure we don't run so poorly in. And I think if we do that, we'll have, I don't see why we'd have a problem making the chase, but I think I've only made one chase in 5 years. I need to work on that.
Now, I got to ask you something. Away from the racetrack, Joey Logano earlier today said he really enjoyed his offseason because he finally got the chance to make commercials for Home Depot. You're really big into these Allstate commercials. I think we get a lot of laughs out of that. Were you busy making some TV commercials this winter?
Actually, I wasn't. Allstate they decided not to do the commercials this year.
The women are going to be disappointed.
Not gonna do the soccer moms.
We have
well, after
no
they
more,
see this, they might change their mind.
Yeah, no more commercials. Maybe they'll play some of the old ones. Those were the funnest ones.
Yeah.
The first few we did. Did a commercial with Budweiser, Gillette Young Guns, Stanley Tools. We did a few. Me and Elliott did the Stanley one. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, Elliott's always fun to do anything with, isn't
yeah,
it?
but that actually wasn't the funnest part of my season. Doing the commercials wasn't the funnest part of my off season. I think going to the Panthers game. I went to 3 Panthers games at the end of the season, and they lost the playoff game, but still the tailgating, and we're in the Budweiser suite, so it's just we have a blast every game, and the Panthers have played so awesome this year at times. It was a lot of fun to go to.
And you got to experience something that the race fans experience every weekend at the racetrack, because I went to the same thing. I went to a football game, and I thought, this is what race fans do.
Yeah, they go and they watch their sport.
Right, and then that's also what people do that don't go to the races.
Yeah.
When we're racing on Sunday and you're watching, the pregame show or something for the football later in the season, and everybody's out there tailgating, getting ready for the football game. So I got to do that too, and I was like, man, this tailgating stuff's pretty good too.
Yeah. And we would definitely recommend it to the fan. Come to this year's Daytona 500. It's going to be one to see. Kasey, thank you so much.
Right.
We appreciate
Thanks,
your
guys.
time, and good luck this season. Just
good.
got to get Kasey back in that chase before this is all said and done. Now, folks, the 2009 Daytona 500 is just a few days away. Packages start at $105. The first 100 people for each package in the Jimmie versus Kenny face-off, you get a special signed commemorative ticket, so don't miss out on that. Bull Run is coming, and the only place to see it is on Speed. Join Bill Goldberg as he takes 12 teams on the ultimate high-stakes road trip. These teams might make it through the desert in one piece, but they'll need to make it through his challenges to collect 200 grand in cash and prizes. Bull Run only on Speed. Now, last season, Kurt Busch certainly had an up-and-down ride, a win, along with a season with a few bumps along the way.
Yeah, but we're thinking 2009 is going to be a new year for Kurt Busch and our bull runner, Rutledge Wood. Although he'd rather be playing video games with Joey Logano in the bus, we've corralled him here at Media Day. Rutledge, take over, my friend.
Thank you, Wendy. I think it's going to be a lot of fun and a great year with Kurt Busch. So, Kurt, I want to know about you. I want to know about, since we don't have the my car's good, my car's whatever, how was your off season? Tell us about it.
It was long. It was a lot of fun. We got some business done at the same time, but it started off with a boys hunting trip. That was the best. 10 days. We went from Texas to Missouri to South Dakota, all the way to Minnesota, where I froze my Diddy off. It was cold up there.
Have you always been into hunting, or is like hanging out with Elliott Sadler and Jeff Hammond, these guys, it's made you want to shoot things?
That, my wife's family, they're big into it. Just moving to the southeast. You know, I'm just a desert rat from Vegas. I didn't know much about getting out there in the wilderness.
Now, you seem really well rested. You seem excited, and a lot of times when we see you guys down here after testing, everyone's kind of, the shine has gone away. You guys all seem really excited and ready to get back at it.
I think it's just the anxiety that everybody is in a situation where they don't know where they stack up. They don't know what their teams have done during the offseason to improve their program because we haven't had on-track testing. Normally by this time, we went to Daytona for 3 days, California, Vegas, and you can see what you have to work on. And right now, nobody knows. So tomorrow, that garage area is going to be in a thrash zone.
We saw last year with you, we had, as you stated, some highs, some lows, a great win at Loudon, the biggest lobster I've ever seen. What are you guys talking strategy-wise about this year, and how are you looking at it?
Well, our main focus is the 1.5 miles. That's the majority of the chase. It's the majority of the season. And so we feel like that's where we have to perform better if we're going to be more consistent week in and week out. Short tracks are pretty good. We won at Loudon. Bristol wasn't bad, and we did well at restrictor plate racing. So we're hoping to continue that.
And you had a great view last year of that Daytona 500 win, and we're a heck of a...
It wasn't great. There was still something blocking my view. I'm going to work on that.
Now, that's not the first time that's happened here. What are we going to do this year to make sure that you're up front?
Well, it's just a matter of being there, first of all. You have to put yourself in position to win. You have to have great crew pit stops to get you out in front and to be hanging in that top lead draft. And so I just have to figure out how to get to the front to where our car is strong and that people have no choice but to push the Blue Deuce.
Well, I hope it happens. We will be excited. I know I will, you will, John and Wendy, of course. So thanks for coming by. And John, Wendy.
We had a Super Bowl question.
Yes.
I made a new friend this offseason.
Tell me.
I got to mention it. It's a cool guy, Darius Sangaila. He's my next door neighbor. Never even knew he lived down there. And he plays for the Washington Wizards. And he's a power forward, center on occasions, and we went up and hung out at his place, had a bunch of the Wizards hanging out, having a couple beers, obviously the right choice, and some chicken wings for Super Bowl. That was pretty cool.
Wow, that's so weird because I remember you didn't mention that at all when I saw you the day before the Super Bowl. So I guess maybe next year.
Yeah, you might get the invite. We'll work on it.
When people say throw me a bone, they talk about chicken bone.
We go way back.
Invite us.
We go way back.
Maybe you guys can come next year.
I don't know how he was going to get back to football after that. He said Super Bowl, then he started talking about basketball, but then he got back to football. Kurt always finishes good, and they got a new name for that race team as well.
Yeah, it was announced that Penske took on the minority owner with the 22 points from Bill Davis, now becoming Penske Championship Racing.
And
new
championship
name.
is what they hope to accomplish over there at Penske Racing, which is now Penske Championship Racing. Now, one guy that was very close to a championship last year is Carl Edwards. Here we ride along with him on a big victory. We'll talk to Carl Edwards about the upcoming season coming up next. Looking back at last season's chase, one thing you can say for sure is Carl Edwards and his team had a never-give-up attitude, and you guys did everything you could in your power to make that chase a race, but came up just a little short in the end.
Yeah, we did, but there was a little bit of satisfaction standing there in victory lane at Homestead, knowing that, even though Jimmie won, that we had those guys stressed out a little bit. We were closing in on them, and I was so proud of my guys after our 2 bad weeks, where I wrecked at Talladega, and then we had the ignition box at at Lowe's that we were able to come back. That one there was fun. Kansas, but yeah, we're just, you know, we did. We just kept our heads down, and I think if we do that this season, all season, we'll be great.
Hey, Carl, can we do a little show and tell for the camera there? There's something on your hand.
Yeah.
An addition to the hand. A wedding ring.
Congratulations.
Yep. It's left side weight. That's what I've been telling people. It's good.
So the question is, do you race with or without it? Oh, tough call for a racer.
I'll probably race without it.
You haven't even been able to test it out yet in a
No,
race car.
I haven't.
No testing.
Might throw off the balancer.
Well, they say if you break your finger or something like that, it can give you trouble.
I'm sure Schrader will give you advice on
Yeah.
watching this.
I mean, you got 9 other ones, I guess.
Okay, well, again, let's hope that's your biggest problem this year. Let's hope that's the biggest problem, because if you take a look at some numbers behind Carl Edwards, the numbers speak for themselves. The stats on Carl, well, they read pretty good. And except for, well, you know what, Carl? I kind of got into saying the stats are pretty good, but these ones aren't really probably your favorite ones.
Yeah, you sold me on this graphic here, and then I
said, well.
Yeah, we
second in July, but the Daytona 500 numbers haven't been that good for you. That can always change, though.
That's right, they can. Usually at these places, I end up on a record with my car torn up, and that's usually my fault. You know, it's tough. You know, these restrictor plate races, it's not racing in the classic sense of racing. You have to really, you know, pace yourself and be smart, and I haven't always done the best job at that, but I've learned. You know, and last year I was really proud of our July race. You know, here almost got the win. You know, racing side by side with Kyle when the caution came out. So hopefully we can, you know, run like that here more often.
Now, I'm sure you were very busy in the wedding planning in the off season.
I didn't do much.
I know. I'm just giving you a hard
Smart
time.
man.
All right, so let's talk
Smart man.
about, since there wasn't any testing, you're a very active person. What did you do to occupy your time besides getting married?
Man, I did all sorts of things. You know, we went to the Race of Champions in London, which was an amazing experience. It was something that it was an honor to be able to do. And then we went from there to Thailand. Had a great trip over there. NASCAR.com did a really good piece on it, and we've got some videos on CarlEdwards.com that are pretty funny. So we went from there and back home for Christmas, and then got married to Kate, and that was really cool. I had a really great wedding day, and everybody was it was really neat for everyone that did show up. And from there, it was really just relaxing for about a month, and it was just about the right amount of time. I'm ready to go racing.
And really, when I talked to you in Homestead, I had you and Jimmie Johnson together, and you both found out just in conversation you were headed out of the country at the same exact time. So I guess you didn't cross paths.
No, we
overseas,
were. Yeah,
huh?
it was possible that Jimmie and I were going to cross paths over there somewhere in the Far East, and we didn't though. It was crazy. I mean, we got there in Bangkok, and we were planning on riding our bicycles, and everybody got off the plane and kind of looked at the traffic and said, I don't think that's a good idea. So we rented a van, and we drove about 500 miles over 2 days to Phuket, and we just saw so many neat things. It was a really good experience.
Now, Carl, after last year's performance, I'm sure everybody, if they're saying you're a championship contender this year. What do you guys go into this season thinking about? What the goal is? It's got to be the championship.
Well, you know, watching that win there, you know, I felt like we did well with fuel mileage. We did well on the road courses. We stepped up our game at places like Martinsville. We ran really well, like we always have at the mile and a halves. And for us to break through and win that championship, we really just need a little bit of luck. I mean, if we run like that year in and year out, if it's possible for us to have years like this, multiple ones in succession, I think we'll win championships. But when Jimmie doesn't miss a beat, you know, when there's someone out there who can run really well and has great luck and makes the right calls like they did, it's you're going to beat them some days, and some days you aren't.
Carl, thanks for coming by, man. Congratulations on the
Thank
wedding.
you.
Congratulations on last season, and best of luck this year.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thanks.
And by the way, Wendy really likes your race suit.
Yeah,
She's been,
I said that was the first one I said.
She said the Carl's looks pretty cool. And the future looks very bright also for Roush Fenway Racing as well, as all teams seem to be in championship form. Coming up next, it's the Biff. He started out the chase in a big note last year. He'll see if he can do it again this year. Get fired up. Speed is dueling in Daytona. February 12th, the most exciting qualifying event in NASCAR is only on Speed. The Gatorade Duel at Daytona. Be there for the 2 races that set the field for the Daytona 500. Don't miss the Gatorade Duel at Daytona live February 12th at 2 Eastern. NASCAR on Speed. Be here. We are back on Media Day. There's a couple of Scott Speeds, one in the camera and one live. Michael Waltrip loves Media Day because he gets to talk all day long, and you get to get together with some old friends for the first time since the Homestead race in Miami. And this just in from NASCAR in a news flash. When we go to the Gatorade Duel, Elliott Sadler is going to have to put some right side weight in the car because he's got a little bit more weight on his left side now with the medal. That was a long way to go to say you got married. Congratulations, man.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
it was fun.
We haven't seen this much hardware in a while between you and Carl.
I want the real hardware Sunday, but this is, I tell you what, getting married to this off season has been the best things ever happened to me. It's changed my life the last couple of years with her, and the wedding went great. She's happy, and what I've learned, if she's happy, I'm happy. So
good job.
Yeah,
it was a great day.
Now, Elliott, wild off season for you. We got to talk to your brother about it while you were on your honeymoon, but we want to hear from you. We heard so many different reports. Everything went on, right, in the press. But from your standpoint, tell us a little bit about what happened with the contract negotiation and where we are now.
Well, I think at the end of the day, you just want to run good. You want to be competitive as a person. The team wants to be competitive as a team. And we went through a whole list. I mean, we had pages and pages of suggestions and things like that. And it just came to a time that maybe I wasn't going to be the driver, maybe I was, and we were at a crossroads and we were trying to get something figured out, and we needed to do something pretty quick. And honestly, I think it did me a lot of good, and I think it did the team a lot of good. It kind of opened our eyes up a little bit. I think it's given us a lot of motivation, but I think we all need to be held accountable. This is going to be a tough season for 2009 for Richard Petty Motorsports. We didn't make the chase last year. Yes, Kasey was close, but we still didn't make it. We got 4 guys to start the season off with. We really need to pull together. We're letting the big teams get bigger and further away from us, and we need to start catching up some. But I just think at the end of the day, we all looked at each other in the face and go, you know what, we can make this work. We can make this happen. We hired some new guys. We brought in some new folks. I brought in Kevin Buskirk, who was with me on the 38 call. Love him. Huge Elliott Sadler fan, which, I need that confidence-wise and need somebody I can bounce stuff off of. But we had some bad times in the offseason, but we've had some good times too. It's definitely behind us. Looking forward to moving on and driving for Richard Petty Motorsports, driving for the King.
That's cool, isn't it?
That is great. And I asked we were asking media folks earlier, how many people have ever driven for the Wood Brothers and then Richard Petty Motorsports? I've been able to drive for both, so that's a pretty cool tidbit for me.
And that's pretty good. Well, we're all glad you're back around here, and you're going to be on trackside this year, and you're going to be back and competing every weekend.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to competing every weekend, because when it came to the possibility I would, and I was like, man, I've been a fan of the sport a long time. This is my 11th season in the sport. I want to be a part of it the best way I can, and I want to race hard each and every week and love the Daytona 500. And I want to be down there and seeing all the guys, seeing you, and, of course, looking forward to Speed. Love trackside.
All right.
I'm sure you're studying
Other than keeping Jeff Hammond straight.
Well,
everybody else is pretty cool.
Elliott, thanks, buddy. Sorry we didn't have more time to talk to you, but we'll see you a lot throughout the rest of this. Yeah, it's kind of quick, but we've been talking all day long. Hey, one guy that wants to talk about this Daytona 500 is Kevin Harvick. Remember this finish between him and Mark Martin? It was a tight one. We'll talk to Kevin Harvick about winning the Daytona 500 then and trying to do it now when we come back. Certainly the dream highlight of any racer's career would be to win the Daytona 500, and that's exactly what Kevin Harvick did in 2007. Right now he's riding an 80-race streak without a DNF, and his starting position in that 2007 Daytona 500 was 34th, and that is the lowest starting position of a winner. And Kevin Harvick joins us now. Now, Kevin, Richard Petty said it many years ago. He said, once you win at Daytona, wherever you go from there, you are a winner. When you come back here, I mean, does it still give you a little special feeling knowing that you're one of the few, handful of guys that have won the Daytona 500?
Well, every time you show that video, it gives me chills.
Yeah.
Still, so it's
Oh, now we're getting Larry.
Hey, Larry, get out of here.
Larry stopping by.
Larry Mack gets enough FaceTime.
He wanted FaceTime, he said. Bye, Larry.
I'm sorry. Well, as you were.
Yeah, well, I mean, anytime you win a race, you're happy. But to win a Daytona 500 was just really special, just for the fact that you understand what those guys are talking about, and you understand, you know, why it's bigger, why it's better, and it's the biggest race you can win in our sport, so that's pretty neat.
Now, everyone talked about what they did in the off-season since there wasn't any testing, but you really had some cool things going on right in your backyard with some go-karts, didn't you?
Well, we always ride the go-karts, but we tried to ride them every week just to keep the neck in shape and the shoulders and things like that.
That's a good excuse.
We had to take a couple weeks off because it got a little too competitive, so we took a couple weeks off from that. But we did a lot of cool things. We went to hockey games, we went to football games, basketball games. We did all kinds of things.
And you also have an exciting year, not only as a driver, but as a car owner. So talk about some new changes going on at KHI.
Yeah, we've got a lot of changes. We're going to lead off the season with Ricky Carmichael in the 4 truck, what used to be the 2 truck. Hornaday will still be in the 33 truck with a different sponsor, Longhorn, leading off the Speed Weeks, and I'll be in the Jimmie Johnson Chevrolet. So it'll be a lot of fun to kick off Speed Weeks. It's been a lot of work because we've changed just about every sponsor on every vehicle in the shop, and I'm pretty proud of that, just for the fact of as tough as things are right now, we've put together some pretty good programs.
You know, in typical NASCAR fashion, a lot of people are using the so-called bad news about some teams going away as an opportunity of jumping up into the Cup Series. A lot of brand new owners and a lot of guys that have driven before. Do you ever entertain that thought?
Well, I think I've learned to never say no in this sport. It's not something that I don't want to do anything like that because it's so much work just to run the nationwide team and the 2 truck teams, to run them competitively. Everything we've ever done has been competitive, and in order to go to the Cup Series, you have to have an alliance, which I feel like we have a good alliance with RCR, and you'd have to have the right sponsor. So if the situation was right, you know, we would entertain something like that, but right now it's all about fun and trying to win races on Sunday.
Now I want to ask about the shootout, because obviously there's a lot more guys in the shootout this year with the new format, and everybody's trying to still figure out who's in, who's out still today. What are you guys going to learn? Because it is going to give you some extra track time this week.
I think that's the most important thing leading into the week, really.
Right.
I mean, usually you come down and you're like, man, I got to go to the Bud shootout. The team's got to get another car prepared. The guys are like, all right, what do we got to do to get the 3rd car prepared? But as we come down here this week, we've had enough time to prepare. Everybody's, you know, rejuvenated and really excited about coming to the racetrack. And really, that's going to kick off Speed Week's notebook because, you know, you're going to have tire wears. You're going to see where your car's handling, and it's definitely your 3rd best car. It's not your 2nd best. It's not your 1st best for sure. That car will be there on Sunday, hopefully. But it'll give you a good idea of what you need to work on.
Well, Kevin, keep up the good work. Thanks for your time. It's always good to chat with you.
I'm glad you guys got to see me today.
Yeah, we are too.
Nice to see you guys.
I wish this guy would come out of his shell and have some fun every once in a while.
Personality,
He's just
man.
so boring. Anyway, we got a lot more personality coming your way from the Daytona International Speedway. Coming up next, Greg Biffle, Kyle Busch, just to name a few.
Welcome back to Speed's Media Day coverage. This place is so big, I have lost John and Wendy, but I did find Greg Biffle. You're just checking the lights?
Yeah, I was just seeing how you look.
How am I?
Sure, it looks good. You look good.
I feel good. You look good.
Yeah, thank you.
How was your off season?
It was really good.
Well, speaking of good, let's talk. What'd you do?
I didn't do anything. I just got back from the desert. Out there, we filmed like a couple episodes of Jackass. That's going to be awesome to see.
Wow.
Yeah, wait till you see it. We're going to put it up on my website in a couple weeks. We're editing out some parts so to make it, you know, internet worthy.
That's actually that was the original name of Jimmy Spencer's show on Speed, but I guess there was a copyright thing. We changed it.
Oh, right.
But now I heard through the grapevine you've been building a house, and there's been a few high spots, low spots with that.
Yeah, there's definitely low spots, and high spots is the what they want to charge you. But I haven't been building it myself.
That's good.
Yeah, because I probably couldn't drive a nail straight. No, I can build a lot of stuff.
You let your wife deal with most of that?
Yeah, they're like, what color do you want the light switches? I'm like, I don't care, as long as they on and off, you know.
So you're definitely a real guy in that sense. Just walls, the roof.
Yeah, just give me the keys when you're done, you know, and the front door locks and whatever. Just hand it over.
Are you excited to be back? You ready for the shootout?
Man, I can't wait. I'm so excited for the shootout. Just want to get back in the car. You know, I went to the shop the other day just to make sure that I still had a job. You know, nothing's been going on. The phone hasn't rang, anything. So I had to drive down there and say my name's still on top of the car. Everything's, you know, everybody's happy.
Look at the people just wandering. Hey, good news. Listen, it's Reed Sorensen's birthday today.
It is.
Greg and I got a cake, so I thought you guys, do you want to try it? Kyle, don't be bashful. It's delicious. Oh. Thank you. That's delicious.
Check out his digs.
Here, why don't you sign the cake, but not use my face? This is why we enjoy Media
times,
Day.
right?
Look at these fellas. This is what happens when you don't have testing.
I didn't mean to interrupt. Go back to Biffle.
No, it's good. This is what happens when there's no testing, NASCAR. These guys are ready to go.
We get bored.
Here, do you want a little more? Let me just, I don't want you to not, you said you wanted a whole corner.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about biting the whole corner off there, but.
I think it's time to get back to the desk. I've had enough cake. Greg, thanks for hanging.
Oh, thank you.
Enjoy your time.
I like your shirt.
Thank you. I'll get you one. Okay. Guys.
All right. Biff, thanks a lot for coming by. And Rutledge, I'm not too sure what to say to you, but thanks. Anyway,
Rutledge,
I
you got
guess.
cake on your face. This is crazy.
All right, let's move on to the lineups for the Bud Shootout, because that's kind of important. It's coming up here, and it's a new look this year. Instead of the pole winners from the previous seasons, we have the 6 top teams from each manufacturer, plus a wild card, and that means for Ford, it's Reagan, Biffle, Kenseth, McMurray, Labonte, Paul Menard, and Carl Edwards. Now, for the Toyota lineup, we have David Rudiman, Hamlin, who, of course, is a past winner of this race, Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, and Waltrip Speed and Brian Vickers.
Now, when you look at the Chevy lineup, you have, of course, Jimmie Johnson. I'm going to go backwards here. Jeff Gordon-Dale Jr., Kevin Harvick, Bowyer, Burton, and Tony Stewart is that wild card. Remember, they've added a wild card. Tony Stewart does get that wild card for the Bud Shootout. Now, if you look at the Dodge lineup, this was the most confusing part of the whole Bud Shootout entry list. You have Kurt Busch, Robbie Gordon, who is going to race a Dodge and then switch to Toyota for the rest of Speed Weeks. Kasey Kahne's in, David Stremmy's in on the 12 car, Elliott Sadler is in, Reed Sorensen is in. Now here's what's interesting about AJ Allmendinger, because Sam Hornish and the Penske organization has the 22 points. He technically should be in, but NASCAR says no, Sam Hornish is not going to be allowed in. Instead, it's AJ Allmendinger. Literally, Johnny, when he walked in, he didn't know himself if he was in the Bud Shootout.
Confused? Well, just think, we haven't even done qualifying yet for the Gatorade Duel. But coming up next, only on Speed, it's the Bud Shootout Selection Show, because the starting lineup for that race is still done by luck of the draw. It was nothing about luck for Kyle Busch last year, as he smashed a ton of records in NASCAR's 3 Top Series. We'll talk to Kyle when we come back to Media Day.
Speed's presentation of NASCAR Media Day is brought to you by Toyota. For the latest Toyota racing information, visit toyotaracing.com. Toyota, moving forward. By Verizon Wireless. Call more people. Use 0 minutes. Only on America's largest mobile-to-mobile calling family. Verizon Wireless. And by Old Spice Swagger, the scent that makes a difference.
Throughout the course of this Media Day here at Daytona, we've heard a lot of different drivers say a lot of different things, but what would a Media Day be without a chance to talk to the boss himself, Brian France? Brian, thanks for joining us. And you know, we've all heard all the negative news all off season long. It seems to be that's in the headlines, but in true NASCAR fashion, out of a lot of negative has come a lot of positive. As we get ready to be down here and race, we see a lot of new faces and new places that may not have happened if there wasn't this downturn and other opportunities open up.
Well, you know, as it turns out, that's exactly what's happened. There are a number of new teams that are here with us. They're going to start the season and compete all year long. There is a more availability of talent, engineering, and experts, and all the rest because of some layoffs and some things. So they're able to get these new teams up to speed faster. It'll be interesting to see, and a lot of them may appear on the surface to be underfunded, but they're going to be underdogs, and I think they're going to compete. Some of them are going to compete very well.
You guys are really great, Brian, at reinventing certain things when it comes to the rules. We've been talking about the Bud Shootout this whole show. Is it one of those learning processes, see how this goes and possibly change it again in the future and see where it all, the chips fall, so to speak?
Yeah, I think, you know, we've been at this for 60 years, and you got to be open to changing some things that might get a little stale here or there. And we're fine with that within reason. So Saturday night's going to have a big field. It's going to be a different format, and it'll be a great show.
Now, every time we come to Daytona, it seems the race outdoes the one before. I mean, fans are always asking for last lap passes and photo finishes, and we've seen them here at Daytona recently.
We have, and it's in both in the shootouts. The Twins have been very good events on Thursday, and of course the Daytona 500, the photo finish with Ryan Newman last year. So I don't know if we can duplicate that again, but we're going to sure try.
And this definitely, as Johnny was talking about, this year is really the year to bring in those new sponsors. We saw Ask.com come on board in NASCAR. They really are getting the best bargain for their buck, so to speak, to get all these new people and new industry, new companies involved in NASCAR.
Yeah, that's true. And then there's a number of companies that have been with us a long time that have renewed. And, you know, that doesn't get the headlines, but that's good. Even in a tough economy, they see the value in NASCAR with the team owners. And again, with these new team owners who are able to do more with less, they're all going to attract a different, some different categories of sponsors. You might have said, well, it's a little too expensive, a little too rich for our blood. I think the value is going to be there in different categories with some of the new team owners.
Brian, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it. Great media day as always, and we're looking forward to the 500. And folks, get to a racetrack near you. There's bargains out there, and you can have a good time. But a guy who had a great time on the racetrack last season was Kyle Busch, as he earned his reputation as the Wild Thing. Welcome back to Media Day. You know what Kyle Busch did in NASCAR's 3 Top Series last year certainly set and blew away any other records. But Kyle, I know it might have been a little disappointing for you guys in the end not to be in the contention for the championship when we got down to Homestead. But when you look back as a Sprint Cup team at what you accomplished, you guys really needed to pat each other on the back.
Well, I mean, it was a great year overall. You know, we won 8 races in the Cup Series. We won 10 nationwide, 3 trucks. So it was fun. I mean, it was a great year for myself. Joining a new team with Joe Gibbs Racing, it really came along strong. And working with Steve Addington and all the guys on the team, it was a blast. So, you know, we got to look at our mistakes that we made in the final 10 races, though, and try to work on those and fix those and make sure it doesn't happen again.
You know, from the looks of how everybody's acting today at Media Day, you would have no idea that tomorrow we're really going to get down to business. Everybody's so laid back. It seems like you guys actually could be human beings this winter and enjoy your life. How did your off season go? Because it really is different from what we've had in the past.
Yeah, I mean, the off season was good. Did a lot of work. Did a lot of play, did a lot of relax, and everything in between. So I didn't get to go to Japan, so no.
What happened?
The nationwide banquet took place at that.
Well, that's important.
I went to the sand dunes, went out there, we played for a little bit. Went to Aruba, had vacation down there with the
Aruba's
girlfriend.
Nice.
That was fun. What else did we do? I went and ran a super late model race 2 weeks ago. We won that one. So I'm the only guy here 1 for 1. Come on. So we're starting it early here this year. Hopefully we can keep it going and be 2 for 2 this weekend.
And you're the first guy to put cake on Rutledge's face at Speed Weeks. We appreciate it.
That, when anybody has a cake around, that's got to happen.
Oh, yeah, you got to wear it.
It's like,
set himself up.
Yeah, TV camera and cake together.
Yeah,
Somebody's got to wear it.
Somebody's going to wear it.
Hey, but Kyle, speaking of younger people, as we're talking about Rutledge, you know, he might not be young, but the maturity level is young.
Maturity, yes.
With Joey Logano on your team now, it's kind of like you in your early 20s or this senior leadership type guy on the team with a young guy like that.
Yeah, apparently. He's got a long road to toe if that's the case. But no, I'm looking forward to it. I think Joey's going to do a great job, hopefully coming in, working with Zippy and the guys on the 20 team. He can run well, and I don't foresee any issues with that. And I'm actually going to try to learn something from him. You know, we told him he needs to go to the other drivers like Jimmie and Jeff and Carl and Biffle and Kenseth and talk to those guys about all the racetracks that they run well at and steal the information and bring it back and tell us why they run so well at those tracks. So hopefully that'll happen and we can use Joey to our advantage. And I'm looking forward to having him on the team.
So now he's a mole. Now the secret's out. So now they're going to know because they're going to watch this. And now they're going to know when Joey Logano comes talk.
That's
talk
all right.
To them.
I mean, just help the brother out. I mean, he's a kid. He's 18. I mean, help him.
But Kyle, you're in a very unique position, though, to help Joey out, knowing that what it's like to be. I mean, you're the youngest winner ever.
Oh, I can tell him exactly what'll go wrong and what not
but
to
things
do.
went right for you. A lot of things went very right for you.
Yeah, it did, for sure. But what were you getting at?
Oh, no, I was getting to the fact that you're in a unique position to give him advice, being one of the youngest guys to break into this series before.
Yeah.
Now we got the youngest guy ever driving the Daytona 500.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be fun for him, and hopefully that he takes full advantage of it. You know, I mean, just like I did. You want to go out there, you want to have a blast, and, you know, you want to win races, of course. And, you know, for me, the losing the races was the hard part. So I know it's going to be hard for him, too. He's a greatly driven person, just like I am, wants to win and wants to do his best and show what he's got. So it's going to be cool to have him as a teammate. He's sort of just like I was, and all we can do is try to put the right people around him and surround him with the right realm so that he can learn from things that happens without I'm not saying that he's going to learn from mistakes, just learn from different things so those mistakes don't happen.
Well, Kyle, congratulations on the performance last year. It was great, and good luck this year. You got a pretty tough act to follow last year, but I think you can do it better.
I hope we can do it better, so I'm looking forward to it, and the whole M&M's team is too.
Okay, thanks to Kyle Busch. Let's take a look at some career numbers for the Wild Thing. 150 starts, but out of those 150 starts, 12 have been wins, with 8 coming in 2008. Started on the pole 4 times with an average finish of 16.5. And look at the career laps led at Daytona. Now let's go back over to Mr. Rutledge Wood for a final thought on today's Media Day.
John, Media Day was great. I had a lot of fun. This place is so big, you never know who you're going to see, but I'm bound and determined to find you guys. So I'm gonna let you guys take it, but I'll find you eventually.
Rutledge is going to keep looking. Okay, now it is time to, as they like to say, shut up and drive, Wendy.
I cannot believe that we've talked about counting you down to Speed Weeks. Now, within 24 hours, we will have so many answers about these race cars, about drafting. I'm really getting stoked now that Media Day is coming to an end.
Yeah, and earlier today we heard the noise of the ARCA engines on the racetrack, and pretty soon it's going to be the noise of the Sprint Cup cars on the racetrack here at Daytona, something the race fan has been waiting for a long time. For Wendy Venturini, Rutledge Wood, and everybody here on Team Speed, thanks for joining us for this edition of Media Day 2009. Now stay tuned, because coming up next, Steve Burns, Kenny Wallace have this year's edition of the Budweiser Shootout Draw.